You're not paid to think. Cool. Enjoy $7,000 in rotten shrimp. Back in 2022, I worked night shift at a grocery store in Florida, stocking frozen. One night, I noticed the walk-in freezer was at 20 degrees Fahrenheit, should be 0. I go tell my manager, real hard ass, always barking orders like he's running a boot camp. He cuts me off mid-sentence. You're not paid to think, just stock the damn shelves. Cool. Next morning, whole seafood section's trash. Shrimp, salmon, crab legs, all thawed and leaking. Store lost over $7,000. Corporate shows up pissed. Manager tries to throw me under the bus. Why didn't you report it? I just said, manager told me I'm not paid to think. They checked the cameras and audio, confirmed everything. Corporate thanked me hard. Dave was reassigned, aka fired, a week later. Never saw him again. I got moved to dairy lead a month after. Dave wasn't paid to think either. And a good thing, because he clearly wasn't capable. Elmal, exactly. If thinking was part of the job, Dave would have been unemployed way sooner. You want us to dress in business attire when all other departments get to wear blue jeans? You got it. TLDR, manager insists we wear business attire on Fridays when all other departments were allowed to wear blue jeans. Through some well-played malicious compliance, that edict only lasted 3 weeks. This happened many years ago. I worked for a top US banking institution. In our building, all of the other departments were allowed to wear blue jeans on Fridays. My manager decided that our department had to wear business attire on Fridays. To be clear, we had no customer-facing presence. Also, our department processes check deposits from ATMs, and they came in mesh bags from the armored couriers. They were usually quite filthy and were frequently wet in bad weather. So when our manager told us that we couldn't wear blue jeans on Fridays like every other department, the entire team was upset. Here is where we cue the malicious compliance. The next Friday, I went to my closet and found the most mismatched outfit I could put together, sticking completely to business attire. We are talking pastel floral print shirt with pants with bold colored stripes. I put it on and proudly walked into the office. My manager just happened to be on vacation that week, so nothing was said about my ridiculously mismatched outfit. Fast forward to the next Friday, I, once again, chose the most hideous combination of an outfit that I could put together. Once again, I walked into the office with my head held high, confident in my business attire. Imagine my surprise when I walked in and everyone on my team had on hideous combinations of clothing. As you can imagine, my boss walks in and sees everyone in their various hideous outfits. The look on her face was priceless. All 15 of us in hideous outfits, but all meeting the business attire dress code. She pulled us all into a meeting and told us that our attire was entirely inappropriate for a business environment and that she would have to write each and every one of us up. I asked her to pull out the company handbook and read the definition of what it said as business attire. She read it and it stated something like clean and pressed business attire consisting of slacks, skirts or dresses, and clean pressed shirts or blouses. It went on to say something like no blue jeans, t-shirts, ripped or clothes with holes, no sleeveless shirts, and no athletic or gym shoes. I asked her where in the guidelines does it say anything about whether the outfits matched or not. She couldn't find anything and said she would have to contact HR to discuss with them what her options were to write us up. Needless to say, none of us were ever written up. She did, however, say we still needed to dress in business attire. Word quickly spread to other departments about her forcing us to wear business attire. The next week, 2 departments around us decided that they would also dress up in hideously matched clothing. The managers of those departments quickly got in touch with our manager and put pressure on her as they didn't like how their employees were dressing. Our manager called us into a meeting and told us we could wear blue jeans on Fridays going forward. Malicious compliance wins. Sometime later, I will tell you about the sign-in/sign out board she created. Show up 30 minutes early. Sure, Dave, as long as you do too. I am 15 years old and work as a soccer referee. I will normally arrive 10 to 15 minutes early to a game, which is plenty of time to check in players from both teams and make sure the field is in proper playing condition. One game I showed up to as an assistant referee, AR. My center ref, 18 years old, let's call him Dave, told me that all refs have to arrive 30 minutes early to every game. I know this is not true, and stayed silent. We refed the game as usual, and returned to where we put our stuff at the end of the game. Dave told me that because I didn't arrive 30 minutes early, he would mark that I didn't show up, basically telling me that I wouldn't get paid for the game we just worked. I complained that this was a rule that he made up. He left the game without saying anything else, figuring that would be all. Note, If you referee without any ARs, you get paid like $5 more. I think this was Dave's plan. When I got home, I made sure to sign up to be center referee at every game where Dave was an AR. Poor Dave showed up to his next game 15 minutes early, which is absolutely unacceptable. I said nothing the whole game, but only marked him absent, which means he wouldn't get paid. This went on for a week and a half until his paycheck came in, and he was about $120 off of what his total should have been. I did make sure every game that Dave was less than 30 minutes early. Dave emails one of the main referees, who run everything, to see what the problem was. One of the main referees, let's call him John, told Dave that he wasn't there, so he wouldn't get paid. Dave put 2 and 2 together and realized what I did. Emails were sent between Dave, John, and I until John had the full story. Dave was fired for making up rules, and I got paid for the first game with Dave. Don't take advantage of young people. Take that, Dave. Edit. Don't take advantage of people, not just young people. On behalf of my fellows at r/Dave, we apologize for this man's un-Dave-like behavior. Are you sure his name wasn't Dan? I was just calling him Dave. His real name was something else. LOL. Thank you for setting the record straight. Boss accused me of bullying, so I requested punishment. Years ago, I worked in a semi-public sector job as part of a successful team helping make life easy for local businesses. Our team boss took a good job in the private sector, and a new boss was recruited from a decent organization similar to ours in a different part of the country. She worked compressed hours, Monday, Thursday, and was off on Fridays. A month or two in, and although the new boss was quite particular about things being done her way and had upset a couple of my colleagues by criticizing their work, I'd had no problems with her. We had a team meeting where the boss said that our performance wasn't good enough, we were arguably the best in the country, and that she wanted to be more involved in what and how we did everything to ensure better quality, and so we should copy her to every client email so she could comment as needed before we sent another reply. Although this seemed inefficient, nobody argued, and I just asked her if I should wait until Monday for her to comment on any client emails received on a Friday. I can't remember exactly what she said, but at the end of the meeting she asked me to stay behind and then told me in a heated tone that my question was bullying behavior, that it was unprofessional to ask the question in front of the team, and said that my actions were the sort of thing that HR would see as grounds for dismissal and that I should be very careful in future. I told her I understood, and we returned to our desks where I wrote up every single detail of the entire meeting and interaction and sent it to the head of HR with the explanation that, as bullying was very serious and may not be reported by the victim, I felt duty-bound to report myself. I also laid it on pretty thick about being appalled by my unprofessional behavior and the fact that my career was likely at risk, and I clearly had a desperate need for training and discipline to fix my dangerous ways. I also copied in my union rep. Within a day, me, my union rep, and my boss were with the head of HR who, being a by-the-books professional, could find no indication of bullying or justification for my fears of being an unprofessional bully in need of re-education. I was asked to leave the meeting. My union rep stayed in, and I don't know what was said, but within 6 weeks my boss was gone, and that same week, my weak and ineffective but likable big boss called me in to thank me as he had wanted to get rid of her but hadn't known how. I love it when they hand me their rope. Nothing hits quite like when their own BS turns around on them. Learn the hard way, always keep receipts, and stay calm. Let them implode on their own. All modifications must be restored to the original. I told this story to a friend. She suggested I share it here. My family and I moved into a house in 2008, 5 bedrooms, 3,200 square feet, $1,600 a month. It was a decent price in 2008, and the rent stayed the same for many years. Since I'm reasonably handy, I would fix things myself rather than bother an old man. I lived there so long that I also made quite a few upgrades. In 2024, the owner passed away, and his son inherited the property. A week later, he gave notice of intent to inspect the property. During the inspection, he kept trying to open drawers and look through my belongings, which isn't legally allowed, and was rude when I stopped him. As he left, he handed me a notice that my rent was increasing to $4,000 monthly, about $1,000 over market value. I would have paid higher rent if it had been reasonable, but I wasn't paying that much. My month-to-month lease was worded to require 3 months' notice to raise the rent. I pointed out this fact, then gave him notice that I would be moving out at the end of that 3 months. A few days later, I was served with an eviction notice. The month-to-month lease also required 3 months' notice to evict me without cause, so he tried evicting me with cause. He claimed I had made unauthorized modifications to the house and cited the back door with a dog door installed. I still had the original door in the garage and the previous owner's permission, so it was neither unauthorized nor a modification. Regardless, the judge decided I needed to move out within 30 days, or he would grant the eviction. Additionally, he explicitly ordered that all modifications be restored to the original. This is where the malicious compliance comes in, and I'm sure you already see this coming. All the smart house additions I made were removed. The tool shed in the yard was removed. The pond was filled in. Closet organizers were torn out. Garage organizers were removed. The updated appliances were replaced with basic models. Every update I made was removed, and then I moved out. He sued me for removing everything. His lawyer cited a law that says any changes to the property become part of the property, and it's illegal to remove them when vacating the property. However, my lawyer pointed out the order from the previous judge, stating, all modifications must be restored to the original. I provided receipts for all the things I had removed, proving I had added them and was required to remove them. I won the case, and he had to pay my legal fees. A few months later, I got a call from his sister. Some of my mail had not been forwarded, and she wanted to ensure I got it. We had a short conversation about the entire ordeal. She told me the house was actually inherited by 4 siblings. Her brother had lied to everyone. First, he had raised the rent, knowing I would move out. He already had a deal to sell the house to one of those big rental companies. He told his siblings the house had negative equity and nobody would get anything from the sale. In reality, the house was paid off and worth about $700,000. They had made an offer on the house, which included all the stuff I later removed. He couldn't afford to replace everything, so they took him to court over the sale. Since all 4 siblings were listed as owners, all were named in the lawsuit, which is how they learned the truth. In the end, the house sold for $550,000. In exchange for not pressing fraud charges against him, his 3 siblings split the proceeds, and he got nothing. Edit: a lot of people ask the same questions. Rather than respond to them individually, I will post them here. Question: how did I remove everything so quickly? Answer: none of the stuff was difficult to remove. The pond was not a small lake. It was a small 300-gallon hole in the backyard with a few goldfish and plants. It took us about 3 hours to drain and fill it in. The shed was sold to someone who took it away on a flatbed. Organizers were modular. Appliances are simple to replace. The most time-consuming was replacing all the smart plugs with standard outlets and smart bulbs with regular bulbs. Question: how are we supposed to believe you had all those receipts? Answer: I've been self-employed for 29 years. I keep every receipt because Uncle Sam doesn't mess around when it comes time for an audit. Most receipts come to my email, but I also have a portable receipt scanner for everything else. Question: how would anyone believe the house had negative equity? Answer: again, I can't speak for them, but I can share a personal anecdote. My mother died in 2022. While settling her estate, we discovered that she had a reverse mortgage. Essentially, a company loaned her money with no mortgage payments. In return, they had to be paid back if she died or tried to sell the house. The house wasn't worth enough to pay them off, so we let them take it. Reverse mortgages are prevalent and often predatory. I don't know if he told them this, but it's not far-fetched to believe a house has negative equity. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to press like button and subscribe. I really appreciate you guys. If you want to suggest interesting Reddit posts, drop them down in the comments. Till next time, peace.